Okay, hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fortnite Mythbusters. In today's episode, we have a whole ton of Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 6 myths in store. So, just like always, if you do have a myth you would like me to test in the next or future episodes of the Fortnite Mythbusters, make sure to go down in the comments and drop a comment of that myth for a pretty good chance to be featured. As well, if you are new around here and you do enjoy my content, feel free to consider subscribing and turning on those post notifications. It really does help me out. As well, if you do enjoy today's video at any moment, make sure to leave a like. Let's see if we could smash 8,000 likes on today's episode. That would be insane. But without further ado, let's get right on in to today's video. Kicking things off, jumping straight into the first myth. The first myth is, can you collect more than one pair of Shire's mythical jump boots? Now, in order to even just get one pair of these boots in a real game, it's a pretty difficult task. I mean, you have to land in the center of the map, kill boss Shire herself. From there, you have to go to one of the outer edges where there's actually other Shire outposts. You have to kill those bosses from there, and they will drop this little ball, this little orb, which you then have to carry all the way back into the middle of the map and kind of submit it into these weird like ruin sort of things. From there, it'll actually drop a pair of Shire's mythical jump boots, and you could also go to another one of the outposts around the map. I believe there's a total of 3 of them, unless I'm totally missing one of them. And every single one, you get the ball, you could submit it into the ruin, and you will get a pair. So yes, you could get multiple pairs of these boots, which is kind of OP for you and your squad. Going straight into the next myth. The next myth is, will you bounce extra high if you carry a chicken, then you jump onto a pair of bouncy tires? Will it have any effect, or what exactly happens? So actually in game, when you are carrying a chicken and you jump around, you will notice you jump way higher than normal. I mean, you'll jump literally 1.5 walls high, which is obviously way more than just regular. If you are carrying a chicken and you do see bouncy tires around the map, definitely make sure to jump on the bouncy tires, because you will literally bounce a good 10 to 15 walls high and take literally no fall damage. No one will even notice you're up there. Like, I mean, who's gonna look straight up in a fight when there's no builds around? And you'll get a perfect view to see if there's any enemies nearby. It'll also help you rotate way faster than normal, purely because you have a lot more time to glide. This is definitely a nice little secret. I actually haven't seen anybody do this in game yet, so you'll definitely catch a lot of people off guard with this trick. Going straight into the next myth. The next myth is, does Midas's golden touch affect the rift gun that you use in the Zero Crisis finale? Now, in the Zero Crisis finale, it was basically the season 5 event, but it was actually in season 6. You could still do this event. You should have done it when you loaded up the game, but there's actually a game mode called the Zero Crisis finale, which allows you to go back and revisit it. So definitely let me know some myths in here too. Unfortunately though, as of right now, Midas's golden touch has literally no effect on the rift gun. Now, if the rift gun were to be added into normal battle royale or even creative mode, that might change, because it'll be accessible to more players. But as of right now, the rift gun, it seems to only be in this event, and Midas's golden touch has no effect on it before as well as after you transform into Midas again. Going into the next myth, and another pretty quick myth. This myth is, will Shire's mythical jump boots still have an effect while you're carrying around a chicken? So if you aren't familiar with Shire's mythical jump boots, basically it's these boots you could get, and you'll have the anti-gravity effect on your second jump, and your third jump you will actually jump pretty high and pull out your glider and glide around. When you're carrying a chicken, you already jump pretty high on your very first jump. I mean, like we saw earlier on in today's episode, you jump about 1.5 walls high just by normal. So will the jump boots make you jump way higher than that? What exactly happened? After going through the process to actually get the jump boots, I then had to find a chicken. After picking up the chicken, unfortunately there was no way to actually tell if you were jumping any higher than normal, because you actually do have the anti-gravity effect. I tried to jump 3 times consistently or consecutively, and there was no glider effect. My player didn't bounce extra high because you already have the anti-gravity effect, and it seems like it doesn't do anything. From my testing though, it's definitely more efficient to drop the chicken and just use the boots to rotate, purely because you can pull out your glider and that'll make up a lot of extra ground in the long run. Going into the next myth. The next myth is, what happens when a wild wolf or boar goes into the Steamy Stacks nuclear reactors? Will they fly up? What exactly happened? In the last episode of the Fortnite Mythbusters, we actually threw a chicken into the nuclear reactors, and we were surprised to see that the chicken had no effect. It didn't even fly up, which really doesn't make sense, because if the wind's enough to push a player up, you would think it would push the chicken up, but that didn't seem to be the case. When trying this one out, I tried it out with a wolf specifically because they will actually aggro on you. I don't think the boars do at all though, because every time I go near it, it just allows me to tame it, and that's really it. Now the wolves are actually pretty smart. It took me a while to actually bait him to jump into the actual, you know, the nuclear reactor wind part. But after finally tricking them into doing it, they actually will just stand on top of the purple water. They won't have any effect. They won't fly up like you would expect, and they can't seem to know how to get out of it either. There's a little ledge that they're kind of stuck on, and they'll keep hitting the wall. So if you do really want to help the wolf out, I suggest throwing the shockwave grenade, and that'll definitely get them out if you do throw it good enough. Going into the next myth, is, will the wild animals that are roaming around the map attack each other when they do see each other? Now for this myth specifically, I actually tried it out with the wolf versus the chicken and the wolf against the boar, because they seem to aggro the most. The wolves, they will literally chase you across the entire map. To do this, I actually crafted a hunter's cloak. That way the animals will have no clue that I'm even there, and we can see if they genuinely actually do aggro onto each other rather than the players. Now the wolves surprisingly will aggro onto the chickens, but they seem to be really bad at catching it. I mean, they literally ran around forever, and they managed to only get one hit off on the chicken after a couple of minutes. I then picked up the chicken. I still had the hunter's cloak on me, so the wolves weren't aggroing onto me, but the wolves were still aggroed onto the chicken even though I was carrying it. They then proceeded to jump and actually kill the chickens literally out of my hands, and they weren't even aggroed onto me after it as well, even though they did do a little bit of damage to me, which was pretty interesting. I also did try this myth out with the boars versus the chicken, because it seems like all of them want to you know, attack the chicken, but they seem to be friendly. I mean, the chicken literally walked straight through the boar, and they did not even care one bit. Going into the next myth, is, what happens when you throw a grenade or loot onto the spire bouncers? Will the loot fly up like a player does? This is actually a pretty good myth, because at these spire locations, at the top of these towers, there is actually a bouncer that'll launch you very far, and you know, it would only make sense if you were to throw loot onto it or a grenade. It might be a new tactic to throw it on there and you know, make it get extra distance. Unfortunately though, no matter what I did, I threw the grenade onto it, I dropped the loot onto it, I threw it slightly above to see maybe if it would somehow catch it and throw it, but it didn't have any effect at all. I mean, they just kind of bounced like normal with the grenades, and the loot just kind of floated there like normal as well. Kind of unfortunate. This would be a super cool technique though if it did work. Going into another pretty common myth, one I see a lot. This myth is, will eating a stink flopper kill you or deal damage to you? Added into season 6, there's actually a brand new flopper called the stink flopper, and it behaves the exact same way as the stink bomb that used to be in the game when you do throw this flopper. The stink bomb will actually deal 90 damage to your player, which is pretty insane. You won't fully die from it, but you will die for it if there is another stink flopper thrown at you and you do take the full 100 HP hit from it. But surprisingly, if you don't throw it and you actually do consume this flopper, both times I tried it, I gained 20 HP each from it, which is pretty insane considering the fact that you do catch only one of them, and it comes in pairs of 3. That's 60 HP per, compared to a single flopper catch, which is only 50 HP. Definitely something super nice to know, and it might save you in game. Going into another super highly requested myth, surprisingly, this myth is, can you cook the meat from animals in one of those natural campfires around the map? To do this myth, it was actually super easy. Basically what I had to do was kill one of the animals around the map. I then got the meat, went to a natural campfire where I then lit the campfire literally with the meat directly on top of it, and I just let it sit there. You can't open up like a UI that'll actually, you know, show you to put the meat in the campfire, but with it floating on top, it didn't seem to do anything. I mean, I let it go, I stoked it, I relit it, everything happened, but there's no way you could cook it, so the meat is how it is. Going into the last and final myth, this myth is, what happens when you use Mystique's shapeshifter emote after killing a wild animal like a wolf, a chicken, or even a boar? Now if you don't know, a couple of seasons ago there was a battle pass skin called Mystique, and with Mystique it came with her own emote, and this emote, basically whenever you kill a player, you activate the emote, and you will actually turn into that player's skin, so you can literally turn into a OG Renegade Raider or an OG Skull Trooper if you do kill one of them. When trying this myth out, I tried it with a boar as well as a wolf as well as a chicken. Every single time I killed one of these animals, shortly after I tried to shapeshift into them, but it would just put me back as a default skin until I did take damage. Then obviously I was back into the Mystique form. I was pretty bummed. This is a little unfortunate, but it would be pretty awesome to run around as a chicken or even a wolf in this game.